Talk about the need for having a civil conversation. This, of course, comes as we are now in the midst of investigating multiple bombs that have been sent to former presidents, Democratic officials, actors, mostly people who have, for whatever reason or in whatever form, have had an issue with the president, have spoken out about it. Where do things stand in the country, Barbara, in terms of having a civil conversation with each other and more importantly, from a leadership standpoint?
I think that there is hope. It seems to me, just coming off the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, that, without pointing fingers, which is not constructive, that the left side of the aisle is causing a lot of the dissension. The demonstrations that took place at the Supreme Court, Justice Kavanaugh's young daughters had to be escorted out of the room, which never should have happened. People in Congress, senators and other political figures can enjoy a meal in a restaurant without being harassed. And that has to stop. I think the president is demonstrating strong leadership by denouncing it and calling for an end to it. So I think there is hope.
Jessica, do you agree with Barbara? Do you think the president
I don't agree.
showing leadership?
Not at all. The president has really started it all. He's calling major news networks, he calls everything fake news if it doesn't agree with him. The only news outlet that he thinks is not fake news is Fox News. If it doesn't go his way, it's fake news. Even after all this, the bombing, he's still blaming the media when all the bombing was everyone that he's attacked.
Yeah. But then you've got on the other side somebody like Maxine Waters telling her followers, if you see them in a restaurant, harass them, attack them.
But I would say in her defense, I don't think she means literally, cause bodily harm. She's just saying that as your elected representatives, you are within your right to challenge them, to ask them, to confront them. Sometimes maybe people were overzealous in that approach, but I think our elected officials have to be held accountable.
It has said that it's unacceptable, absolutely no place for it in the United States. So I don't know how much more strongly he could speak against it.
Are leaders from both parties in Congress doing enough to bring back civility?
I think yes and no. I understand what you're saying. Maybe they could do more. Seeing as though we're not really getting the leadership that we need from the very top, then I think it's incumbent on the leaders and both the House and the Senate, both the majority and minority leaders, to come together. Already I know that there was a statement made by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, in response, standing up in response to the bombings. But I've heard that, whereas they would have expected it, they have not joined forces with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. Even if the four of them were to get together, they could do more and get together and share a joint, a cohesive message standing up to what's going on in our country at this point.
I would say both parties are not doing enough. I think some people like this Problem Solvers Caucus are making a start. And if that could take root and it could have greater participation in the House and the Senate, that would definitely be a step in the right direction.
I just feel like the Republicans are, and I've never been such a party line person, but I feel like the Republicans are just selling their souls. They don't care what's happening. They don't care about anything. They just want their agendas to be pushed, and they don't care what the cost is to the country.
I think we need more people like Senator Flake that did end up bringing some unity to the country at a time that it just desperately needed it. But I think that when it comes to elections, I think the Democratic Party has an uphill battle as far as organizing themselves. I think Donald Trump has amassed a machine, and a very well-oiled machine. And I don't agree. I don't agree with some of the morals that I feel some of them are eroding. Some of them, the Republican Party, are fighting for traditional values, which I am an advocate of. However, some of the other morals, as far as I know, you know, as far as searing your conscience for money and greed, I don't agree with that. And I think that's where Democrats stand as well. However, we're guilty on both sides. It's not one or the other.